You too. All right. Good morning, everyone. Please confirm you can hear me. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are glad to have you again. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Raphael. Thank you. So we're glad to have you all on the second episode of the webinar series titled Performance Management, a strategic tool for growth. So if you joined the previous webinar, the webinar in May, you can just put it on the chat box. Oh, I joined, and you can tell me how it went. Oh, it was great. It was superb. So we'd like you to do that on the chat box. Just type I joined. It was great. Just give us your feedback. It's very, very, very important. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the second episode of the webinar series. So yes, so I'm still expecting your feedback. If you joined the webinar in May, just type in on the chat box. I did. It was great. It was awesome. So I expected to get this feedback. So let's just give you 1 minute to do that. One minute to do that. You joined. It was great. I did. I'm expecting those feedbacks. If you joined the webinar in May last month, we need your feedback. Just type it. I did. It was great. I joined. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Raphael. Thank you. We need more responses. Oh, I did. It was awesome. Thank you, Priska. Thank you. More response. More response. Oh, Motorayo, I joined. It was informative. Thank you, Motorayo. Thank you. We need more, just two more, and then we kick off. Just two more, and then we kick off. Oh, Samuel, I joined. For me, it was awesome. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you for that feedback. So let's take one more person, and then we move forward. Your feedback from last episode of the webinar. One more person. One more person, and then we go. Your feedback from the last webinar. If you joined, just type in the chat box, I did. It was great. It was awesome. And then we can move forward. Thank you. We're glad to have every one of you. It's a privilege, and we're excited to have every one of you on this call. Thank you. So one more response, and then we'll move forward. If you joined the last webinar, just type in I joined. It was great. It was awesome. It was excellent. It was a great one. So just one more, and then we'll move forward. Thank you. All right. So let's move forward. So today, we'll be looking at these various objectives. So now we are looking at how we are aligning individual goals with organization objectives, the importance of continuous feedback and development techniques for fostering a culture of accountability and excellence. So these are the objectives for today's webinar. So just sit back, relax, and get ready to learn. You will learn a lot from this facilitation. So, but before we delve into the facilitation, we would like to do like a fun fact. So just like we did the other time on the chat box, you can just tell us something fun about you. So let's just take 3 people on the chat box. Tell us something that is unique, something that is fun about you that you like us to know about. Just put it on chat box. Thank you. So let's get like 3 responses, and then we'll move forward. Fun fact about you. Thank you. Adedoyin Ishola said, I am always seeking for more knowledge. Oh, that's nice. That's very, very good to hear. So we need more feedback. Fun fact about you. Adedoyin has said that she's always seeking for more knowledge. Yeah, so I believe everyone here too is also seeking for more knowledge. That's why we have you here. So if you have much more, if you have like a fact about yourself that you'd like us to know, just type it and let us know. So we need 2 more, and let's move forward. 2 more, and let us introduce the speaker for today's episode of the webinar series. Fun fact about yourself. Fun fact about yourself. Fun facts. Fun fact, fun fact. So let's move forward. Thank you. Thank you. I love reskilling and upskilling. Florence Bolaji, thank you. I am a professional human being, and I have phobia for heights. Thank you, Tony Ribo. Thank you. Thank you all. So let's dive into today's facilitation. So before us, we have Vivian. This is Vivian's profile. Vivian is a highly motivated and driven professional with strong expertise in strategic planning, transformational change, and operational efficiency. She is highly disciplined and is committed to delivering value and excellence across various value chains and industries. Vivian has 15 years of professional experience that cuts across human resource management and consulting, business advisory and management, learning and development, corporate branding, and communication. Over the course of her career, Vivian has worked as human resource manager, leading talent acquisition and learning and development strategies at Mohinani Group, Kimberly Ryan Limited, and Stanton Chase. And as a business administration and management specialist at Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, she is a member of a few professional ability bodies, including CPAN and CIPM. Vivian has excellent organization leadership and interpersonal ability. She is highly creative with an effective communication and a demonstrated aptitude for decision making. So this is Vivian Agunabo. She is the COO, the Chief Operating Officer of Kimberly Ryan. So we are glad to have her. So the next voice you'll be hearing is that of Vivian. So you can give her a round of applause as Vivian joins us on the call. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dayo. Thank you so much for that very kind and warm introduction. So as introduced, my name is Vivian. I work at Kimberly Ryan Limited, and I am the Chief Operating Officer at Kimberly Ryan Limited. So as everyone has done, and I'm really looking forward to reading some other fun facts, from people. I think it's interesting to see how, what makes us tick and what makes people unique. For me, my fun fact would be that I am an extremely shy and reserved person, but somehow I always have to find a way to adapt to any situation or any environment that I find myself. And I think that makes it fun because I get to be like a chameleon and I wear different shapes and sizes and colors. So I'd like to welcome everyone once again to the Kimberly Ryan webinar series, June edition. I want to thank everyone who joined us in May and who is joining us right now. You are what makes us tick. We are doing this for you, and I'm happy that we are building this community together. So today's topic is a very interesting one for me, most especially because it's a very practical topic. It's one that speaks to the fact that it's what you put in that you get out. So it's a situation that is more like a garbage in, garbage out, or good work in, good work out situation. Performance management as a strategic tool for business growth. Okay, so before I go right into it, I just want to say that for this session, we're going to be looking at 3 parts, right? We divided this session into 3 parts. The first part will be enabling us to understand what performance management is all about. The second part is to understand the strategic implementation processes and strategies and approaches that we can use to get a good working and efficient performance management system in our organizations. And then the third part is to look at the various impacts that a performance management system has on our businesses. So let's get right into it. The very first part, understanding performance management. So what is performance management? What do we understand? There are so many definitions for what performance management is. We're not going to make this an academic session, so we're going to try and look at it from a more practical point of view. So for me, my own basic explanation for performance management would be that it is a system or a systematic or a very strategic tool that enables organizations to align, to monitor, and to improve employee performance to achieve the organizational goals. So basically, performance management enables you as an organization to do 3 things: to align your objectives and goals together so that everybody is working as a team, to monitor these objectives to see how we are doing. How are we doing? We check in Q1, we check in Q2. So there's a continuous flow of monitoring. And then to improve, when you have done your monitoring, what have you been able to see from that? And if you do these 3 things, right, performance management, if it's well implemented, it enables organizations to achieve so many things, right? But we're going to be looking at 3 key things in this slide. It's going to enable organizations to increase the bottom line and customer satisfaction. That is one of the key reasons why these organizations are set up in the first place. We are set up to make profits, right? So having an efficient performance management system enables us to increase our bottom line and satisfy our customers so that they come back for more. So there's customer loyalty by the time this is done. Second point is a PMS, that's a performance management system. I may be interchanging that along the course of this session. The performance management system enables organizations to increase their competitiveness. Now, when you're increasing competitiveness, it's enabling you to be a brand that stands out. So you have customer loyalty because your brand is standing out. You have employer branding because employees are very much engaged and very much productive, and they become ambassadors for your organization. And this increases your competitiveness as a business, right? And it makes you to be a key player in the industry where you're playing at. The third point is that a good performance management system helps you to develop a high-performing workforce. Now, when you are constantly engaging your PMS, it enables your employees to be productive and efficient over time. And that means that your workforce is a high-performing one. And that again keys into your employer branding. So when your company name is called, everybody knows, if this person works in XYZ Limited, then that person is a good talent. So that is what a good performance management system does. Now, before I move on to the next slide, I want to say that as much as possible, we're going to make this session to be engaging. So over time, during the course of this session, I would be willing to or looking to hear from you on your comments and questions, or your basically comments on how, on different things that we talk about during the course of the webinar. Now, what is the importance of performance management system? Let's look at why is it important to implement this in the first place, right? I'll read this and then we'll take it one after the other. First is alignment with organizational goals. Then we have enhanced employee performance, increased productivity, professional development, improved employee retention, enhanced decision-making, and organizational competitiveness. First, let's take up the first point, which is alignment with organizational goals. So basically, a good performance management system enables you as an organization to align your goals. So the organizational goals has been set, and every single individual in the organization understands what their roles are. They understand the objectives that they are supposed to, or the roles they're supposed to play to achieve this organizational goal, right? Let's assume, okay, so let's look at a logistic company, for example, and this logistic company has set a goal to be the #1 delivery player in Nigeria. This company wants to be the key person to deliver across the 36 states of Nigeria, right? So we want to be able to deliver, let's say, 24 hours delivery across Nigeria. That is the goal that the organization has set. Now, every single employee in this organization has to know what role they play. What role do I play to enable our organization to achieve this goal that has been set? This is what we mean by aligned goals, right? Now, the next point is enhanced employee performance. When you have an effective PMS in place, your employees are able to understand their roles, like I said earlier, and they're able to put in their best because now they know what they're supposed to do, right? And everybody knows what role they're supposed to play. You find that your employees start to perform their best, especially because the entire PMS system has a framework that enables feedback, communication from end to end from different points. And this also impacts on the employee to always put in their best because they know that there are various factors that play in that aspect. The next point is increased productivity, which is what I've spoken to. Your employees are productive because they know there's goals have been set. And when goals are met, we're talking about SMART goals. So they're specific, they're measurable, they're time-bound, everything is all put in place. This has to make your employees to sit up and make sure that they're meeting targets as has been set. Professional development, again, speaking to the employees. When you have an effective PMS in place, your employees are able to have access to developing themselves, right? Because when you're effecting this PMS end to end, there's the avenue for coaching, avenue for mentoring, and other learning interventions that will be necessary as gaps are identified along the way. So this gives your employee the avenue to develop themselves professionally. And then we have improved employee retention. I mean, in this day and age where retention is a key KPI for HR professionals now. So we understand how it is very important for us to retain our talents. And this is one way, having an effective performance management system is one way that we can ensure that we retain our talents, because we are engaging them, we are monitoring their performances, we are upscaling them when necessary, and we are also recognizing their efforts where applicable. And then we have enhanced decision making. So when you have an effective performance management system, this gives you the ability or the opportunity to have constant reviews and check-ins. And when you do this, you have data, actual data that impacts on your decision making as an organization. Now, if you're having, let's say, a review for Q1, and then you're having this constant conversation with your employees and other stakeholders in the organization, then you realize that maybe we need to refocus, maybe we need to re-strategize, maybe we need to shift the goal and adjust a few things. Now, this helps you to make decisions, this helps you to be innovative and keep up with the trends at all times. And then, of course, we have organizational competitiveness, I have said earlier. As an organization, you need to be competitive at all times. You need to be a key player in your industry for you to be recognized. And if your employers or your employees rather are not driving, because basically they are the driving force. If they are not driving the business or driving the objectives set by the organization, then there will be some kind of a gap there. So let's move on to the next slide, which speaks about the roles and responsibilities in performance management. Now, most of the time, it's assumed that performance management or appraisal is HR's responsibility. Let HR deal with that, right? But it is essential to note that in every, for an effective PMS to work, right, every stakeholder in the organization needs to understand the roles that they play in this system in its entirety. So there are various stakeholders in the organization. We have the senior management, we have the human resource, we have the line managers, and then we have the employees. And every single one of these stakeholders have various roles that they play to ensure that the performance management system is an effective one. So let's look at the role of the senior management team. We have vision and support. It is the role of the senior management to set the vision of the company. What do we want to achieve? Like I gave an example earlier that says, we are XYZ Limited, a logistics company that want to achieve a 24-hour delivery across the country. So you make an order, you're in Abuja, you make an order from, let's assume Lagos, and you get it in 24 hours. And quality, right? That is the vision that the senior management has set. That's one example. Another role that the senior management plays is resource allocation. So this vision has been set. You want to be the #1 logistics company. What are the resources that are needed? What kind of vehicles do we need to drive this? Do we need bikes? Do we need airplanes? Do we need helicopters? What do we need? So this is where the conversation is had with the senior management team to discuss the kind of resource allocation. What kind of people do we need? Do we need fresh graduates? Do we need experienced hands? So all of this conversation is had at the senior management team discussing the resources that is needed for this. And then there is communication and oversight. When this decision or when this goal has been set, senior management has to ensure that it is cascaded down and communicated to every single member of the team. So there are avenues for doing this. It could be a strategy session where you'll invite the relevant stakeholders to drive this communication, or HR could also be the driver of this communication to drive, make everybody understand the vision of the organization, the mission, and every resources that have been put in place to achieve it. And then senior management also ensures oversight by ensuring regular check-ins, using the data from the PMS to make informed decisions along the line. Then we have the human resource personnel. What is our roles as human resource professionals? The first role is to design and develop. Now, after the vision has been set, you now need to design and develop an effective performance management system. You need to design what approach do you want to use, because there are various approaches to the PMS. So what approach do we want to use? Do we want to use the a yearly review, a quarterly review, the 360, the KPIs, the OKRs, whatever approach we want to use. This is where the HRs get into design and develop that framework. Then there is training and support. So when this design has been put in place, or when the framework or whatever templates of the PMS we want to use has been put in place, then HR has to train. We need to train the line managers who are going to be basically responsible, because the line managers are the ones working directly with the team, with the employees. So we get to train the line managers, we get to train the employees. We can also even get to train senior management so they understand this is the approach we want to use, and this is the role everybody gets to play, right? And then we have policy development. So basically, after we have designed and developed the framework, we work on the policy. So this is our reference, our guide, our guideline, or a guidebook, so to speak, where we where we reference once in a while to ensure that we are following the process that has been set for the performance management system. And then we have monitoring and evaluation. Excuse me, please. Monitoring and evaluation. So monitoring and evaluation enables HR to consistently monitor and evaluate the system to see if is this system that we've created, is it working for us? Do we need to change anything? Do we need to adapt any new feature? Or does any particular units require any kind of support? This is why HR continues to monitor this system and also guide the people who are implementing or who will be working on the various approaches that we've developed for the performance management system, guide the line managers to enable them to have constant check-ins with their employees, and I encourage them to have mentoring and coaching events or processes with the employees along the line. So we'll look at the line managers and their roles. What are the line managers supposed to do? So the first thing here is goal setting. As the line manager, now you sit with your employees and you set the goal, right? You set the tone for your units, because in an organization we have various units, and all of these units have a manager that is managing it. It could be a line manager, it could be a business head, whatever the title is that is in the organization. This person is leading a team that is unique to itself and is functioning as a team amongst other teams in the organization. So the first thing is goal setting. And for this, we always encourage, there are different approaches also to goal setting, but we always encourage one-on-one conversations with your employees so that there is a clear understanding of the goals being set, right? So it's like we are using our logistics company. So the goal has been set to be a 24-hour delivery. Now let's look at the team who is managing the vehicles, for example. Now the line manager has to sit with the team and discuss who is in charge of managing the bikes, who is in charge of managing the, maybe it's a truck, for example. So the different objectives are set for these people and ensuring that everybody is working towards the common goal. That is the very most important thing. So goal setting ensures alignment from the top to the bottom. The next aspect is ongoing feedback. So here we encourage regular check-ins. This is why we encourage regular check-ins, regular reviews, as regular as can be. So it depends on how your organization has set the tone. So basically it depends on how HR has set the tone, and it has to be tailor-made for every organization. So regular feedback and regular check-ins helps employees to understand, I'm doing this right, fantastic, or I'm not doing this right, I need to change this, I need to improve on this. And when you do that, at the end of the day, and over time, your performance gets to improve and your productivity gets to improve. The next point would be development plan. So when you're having constant check-in with your team, you're getting to see where there is a gap. You get to identify, okay, so we need to improve here. We need to improve some communication skills. We need to improve our sales guys. Whatever it is, where you have constant check-ins, then you get to see where there are gaps. And when you find where there are gaps, then you can start to make a development plan. You can start talking about learning interventions or mentoring or coaching or whatever it is. And then we have motivation and support. So this is where we talk about recognizing employees and recognizing the impact that they are making, recognizing their performances. So employee recognition plays a very key role. When your employees understand that I have been given a set objectives and set goals, and when I perform to that, when I give my quality performance, I'm recognized for my efforts. That is a very key way to manage employees and keep them engaged and productive in the system. Then we move on to the employees and the roles that they play in the PMS. So we have participation in goal setting, participation in basically achieving the goals of the organization. As an employee, you need to ensure that you're giving in your best. You need to ensure that you're giving in your 100. So by participating, it's not necessarily receiving communication or receiving conversation. It's about also putting in your own comments, putting in feedback, or giving in your own opinions that can also make things better, which is why we encourage an avenue for a free conversation or communication between employees and other stakeholders in the organization. Then we have self-assessment. As an employee, you need to make sure that you're checking yourself. So as your bosses are having, or your other stakeholders are having constant check-ins with you, you're having constant check-in with yourself. You're checking to see if have I improved from day 1 to day 35? Have I changed this? Have I been able to implement this? So you're having continuous self-assessment to check yourself, and you should also be able to walk up to your manager to say, I think I need this training. I think I need to develop myself in this aspect. I think if I do it this way, we might get a better result. So I encourage an avenue for open communication, because we're all trying to achieve one goal. And then we also have feedback and so we also have feedback, yes. So which is what I've said, basically ensuring that you are communicating with your line managers, you're communicating with HR to ensure feedback is given, there's communication from top to bottom and it's not a one-way street. Now we're going to be looking at strategic implementation of an effective performance management system. We have understood what performance management is. We have understood the roles that the various people play. So how do we actually implement this system? So implementing a performance management system, there are various approaches actually to implementing it. But we always advise that it is good to understand your business, understand your environment, and seek out a tailor-made approach that would suit your organization. So we don't usually advise a one-size-fits-all. It has to be tailor-made to suit you, because every organization is unique in its own way. So there are various approaches, but the basic steps is what we are going to be running through very quickly. So we have planning, monitoring, development, and assessment. For planning, we have goal setting. We've talked about goal setting already. We talked about how it can be top to bottom, where the organization sets the tone, and then it's cascaded down to the various units, and then the line managers working with HR gets to set the tone for their various units by setting goals for their employees. Now that is one way for goal setting, and then we have role clarification. So everybody needs to understand their roles, right? Because once we set the goal, once the roles are clarified, then we can move. Now we know what to do. So the planning stage is completed, right? Then we move to monitoring. We have set the goals. We have set the objectives for the employees. They have their KPIs. How are we monitoring? What do we do to monitor it? Continuous observations, regular check-ins, regular review. I don't think you need to wait for a whole 6 months to go by or a whole 12 months to go by before you have a check-in with your employees. I always encourage regular check-ins. It could be a once a month. It could be a face-to-face. It could be a virtual, and it could even be an email, whatever it is, but it should be regular, and you're checking in and you're having these observations so that you're able to improve on the go. And then we have tracking processes. So what ways do we use to track? Or how are we tracking our employee performance? Are we logging it so what are we using? What technologies are we using? This is how we monitor and evaluate our employee performance. Then we have development. Like I said earlier, when you're checking in regularly, then you get to find where there are gaps. You're providing constant feedback immediately. You're not waiting for things to pile up And as you're providing feedback, you're providing development initiatives, you're providing learning opportunities. I think you should attend this workshop. If you attend this training, it's going to help you to do this. This happens on a constant, ongoing period, and it helps the employees to always improve and develop themselves. And then we have training, of course, like I mentioned. Training is essential, and it's easier to identify when you have your constant checking and you're having constant communication with your employees. You understand that you need certain trainings, or maybe I as a manager need a certain training. So this is something that we do on a constant basis. Assessment. How often our performance appraisals? How often do I self-assess myself as an employee, as a line manager, as a HR person? Do I check myself to say, these are the goals that were set for me from the Q1. Have I been able to achieve them? These are the goals that were set. Do I need to do anything to improve, right? Then as this is aside the performance appraisals. So performance appraisals also has to be in place. Is it quarterly? Is it twice a year? Is it yearly? Whatever it is, it needs to be in place and it needs to be practiced, very strictly. So other basic steps to implement a performance management, we have recognition and rewards, we have review and adjustment, and we have documentation. So for recognition and rewards, I mentioned earlier how critical it is to recognize and reward your employees. When someone is putting in their best, it is very essential to recognize their efforts and reward them. So there should be an employee reward system in place. Then we have review and adjustment. Like I said, performance management system gives you the data that you need to adjust where necessary. You have a well-detailed information and data that gives you the ability to make informed decisions to quickly adjust where necessary, change your focus. Are you sure we can deliver in 24 hours? Maybe we cannot deliver from Lagos to Abuja in 24 hours. Let's change the vision, let's shift the goal. That's what a good performance management system does. Then you have documentation. Of course, you need to keep record so that they can always, for posterity's sake, you can always go back to just keep records to ensure the proper tracking is done. So now we're going to be looking at some challenges faced while implementing a performance management system. And I want to throw it to my very wonderful audience. What can you, if Dayo, you're going to help me here, by a show of hands, please let us know what challenges we face trying to implement an effective performance management system. Please, by show of hands, let's see if you can understand some challenges that we face while implementing the performance management system. Is it from which part of the stakeholders? Is it from the senior management? Is it from the employees? Could it be from the line managers or the human resource professionals? So what challenges do we face trying to implement an effective performance management system? Do we have anyone showing their hands?
Not yet, again.
I'm sure we face a whole lot.
Oluwaseun is putting up his hand.
Okay. Let's hear.
Right. Yeah, thank you. Good morning. Thank you for that excellent presentation. Okay, from my experience, I think this challenge comes more from the management, say maybe the directors or the managing management, who gives unrealistic, let me say, budget or expectation. I once worked in a banking organization, and I grew from an officer to being a branch manager, and then I was at the regional level also. And sometimes when we are cutting budget, you will hear the country head say we have to, if our budget actually to top management is 100 million, he says let's make it 400 million to the people so that they can run. And then by the time they have made 100, we will have met the senior management budget while the officers are still running. So I think, and in appraising, when appraising the staff, you appraise them on 400 million. You know, I have been a victim of it as an officer, but when I became a regional person, I had to say, no, this was very wrong. So for me, it could be high expectation from senior management that brings about this challenge.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Vivian,
do we have any others?
Yeah, on the chat box, we have some comments. So Oluwafemi is saying that the management may not constantly support performance appraisal. That's from Oluwafemi. Stella says resistance to change, insufficient training, lack of clear communication. That's from Stella. Oluwafemi also says that at times the management may not, okay, I think I read this, constantly supports performance appraisal. Falashade says staff wants to know if there will be reward for good performance. Some companies only review performance to cut down on staff numbers, not to increase salaries. Grace is saying that one of the challenges is resistance to transformation. Then the issue of non-implementation of reports. So these are the comments in the comment section. Thank you.
Wow, that's thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate your contributions. These are challenges that most organizations face. We recognize that. And as much as possible, when we are working with our various stakeholders or clients, we always help or try to show or give recommendations on how these challenges can be, worked around, so that we are ensuring, because really the end of it all is a common goal that we all have as an organization. We want to make profits and we want to satisfy everyone that is the stakeholder of the organization. So yes, we recognize these challenges and we're going to be looking at it in the next slide, and also look at some possible recommendations on how we can work around it. So some challenges, and I think a few people mentioned this in the chat box: resistance to change, lack of clear objectives, inadequate training, inconsistent application, poor feedback culture, lack of management support. That was one of the comments we heard. Ineffective goal setting, data and metrics challenges, and some incomplete or inadequate follow-up. So definitely these are challenges. It happens in organizations, and let's remember that organizations are made up of people, and we are really dynamic. So it's expected to have these challenges. But what can we do to work around these challenges? What can we do to, make it better? So let's look at some recommendations that we have. We have implement change management. So yes, people are going to be resistant to change. Really, if you're comfortable working or doing something one particular way and it's been working for you for years, then why do I need to change, right? That's a question you get to ask. But we need to implement a change management system where necessary. We need to be able to enable employees to transition into whatever new strategies or new innovations that we are putting in place. So an effective change management system can help with some of the challenges that we have listed above. Clear communication. So I always like to encourage open and clear communication as much as possible, because this takes away so many ambiguities, it takes away so many gray areas when there is clear communication from the top to the bottom, right? So let's, as much as possible, encourage. I understand that when it involves senior management, it can be really hectic, but as HR professionals, we shall continue to do our jobs. And even as people managers, even if you're not a HR professional, as people managers, managing a team, managing a system, a unit, we will encourage you to do our job and give feedback to management as much as possible. Then we have training programs. It is very essential. As once in the previous place I worked, somebody was asking, why do we need to train our employees? Why do we need to spend so much money to train our employees? Then I asked, why do we not train our employees? I mean, if you don't train them, you will spend much money, because then you'll be working with people who don't have the right capacity, right, to achieve these results that we have set. You'll be working with people who are stuck in a certain trend. Meanwhile, the trend has moved. There's been a lot of evolving, but our people are stuck in it, because when you're in a system, you can be in a bubble. And as far as you're concerned, you are the best. But a lot of things are happening outside. So that is why training programs is very essential. And you can only or almost always do your trainings when you have identified the gaps, because you have set the goals, then you are monitoring your employees, and then you identify the gaps. Okay, he's not able to achieve this because he doesn't have this capacity. What do? We need to train him or her. Then we have standardization. This is very essential to have a process in place, have a standard operating procedure in place, have a framework in place. It is very important to ensure that. And then we have foster a feedback culture. Please, let's encourage feedback. I worked with a boss who always used to say feedback is a gift, and I learned that is a fantastic thing. Give me feedback, because it may be demotivating, it may be discouraging, but it's a gift that I would never have gotten if I didn't hear it from you, because now I have to go back and improve. So when our employees are able to give us feedback, when we are able to take feedback back to management, it is this feedback that they use, because now, so it's not just feedback per se, it is feedback gotten from essential data, right? And this feedback will help to make an informed decision. Now, managerial support. This was one that was mentioned from our comments, when we asked earlier. It is very essential for managers to have a buy-in. And by having a buy-in is not just by setting some goals that are very what's the word? Setting goals that are inachievable, right? Or unrealistic. No, it is by sitting down and actually evaluating the system, actually evaluating our environment and where we are, and being realistic to set the right goal, which is why our goals basically should be SMART. And in the word SMART, the R stands for realistic, right? We shouldn't be making goals that are very, very bogus and unachievable. Effective goal setting, that again speaks to setting the right goals. And this is top to bottom. So we are speaking to management now. And then we have relevant metrics, using the right data, again, to make the right information or right decisions, and regular follow-ups. I think it's very essential that we encourage regular follow-ups. Always check in with your employees. Always check in to see how are your employees doing. Because most times your employees can be disengaged and you would have no idea, right? Especially if you're coming to the office. I'll come in, I will clock in by 7:59. I'm very early every day, but am I really performing? Am I really delivering? Am I really doing my best? Am I seeing the vision? Am I working towards that vision? These are questions we need to ask from time to time. We need to always check in with our employees and do constant follow-up and give them the room to give us feedback, to give their comments and share their innovations. They could have some fantastic idea, but we are stifling them. So we need to always ensure and encourage regular follow-ups, regular check-ins, regular reviews with our employees and with every stakeholder, as a matter of fact. So there should be, I'm sure there's always a chain of command in organizations. We should encourage communications to go through that channel so that everybody who's meant to have that information gets to have it. And then we'll be going to look at the impacts of an effective performance management system on an organization. Again, like I said, it's going to be an engaging session. So I want to hear from us. If we do away with these challenges that we have identified, right? If we do away with the challenges that we have identified is a stumbling block to enabling an effective performance management system, let's assume that we have put this recommendation down and everybody is doing as they should. What do we think would be the fantastic impacts of an effective performance management system on our organizations? Please, by show of hands or by sharing your comments in the chat box. Dayo, please, let's hear from our audience.
Okay. Yeah.
What do we think will be the impacts of a good performance management on organizations?
Okay, here Oluwafemi is saying it will improve employees' productivity. That's
fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. So, great productivity, better outcome. Stella is saying that improved productivity, employee retention.
Fantastic.
Grace is saying increased productivity and alignment to company's goals and objectives,
yeah,
which will to organizational growth and development.
Yeah.
That's one. Oluwafemi is saying it will boost the organizational branding. Adedoyin is saying customer satisfaction. So
fantastic. Fantastic. I think we are all on the same page. This is really great. So yes, let's look at some impacts of performance management system on organizations. Number one, alignment of goals and objectives. Everybody is working towards one goal. every single person. There's this very popular saying where a janitor was asked in NASA, what do you do here? And he responded, I'm here to put people on the moon. He knows what he's there for. He's not there to clean the floor. I'm here to put people in the moon. That is a clear alignment of goals and objectives. The second point is increase employee productivity. It goes without saying, your employees are productive because they are doing their best, they are doing their jobs, you're giving them feedback to say, you need to improve here, you need to improve there. They take the feedback, they go back, and they become even better. So productivity is shooting up. Then we have enhanced culture of accountability and excellence. I worked with a boss who once said, her keyword, as a matter of fact, was excellence, excellence, excellence. Vivian, this should be excellent. I don't want to see anything excellent. And I love that word. This is a fantastic word. So when you continuously give feedback to your employees, they become accountable, they become excellent. Before you send an email, you are reading through to ensure there are no typos. Excellent. When you are attending to a customer, for example, in a customer facing role, you're talking with quality, you're talking with excellence in your mind. So that is what a good performance management system does. Another impact is to drive employee engagement and satisfaction. Your employees are happy, they are satisfied. They know that if I have a comment or if I have a feedback and I share it with HR or I share it with my manager, they're going to listen to me. So that encourages employee engagement and employee satisfaction. We have increased customer experience and loyalty. So increased customer experience and loyalty. I mean, this is the bottom line, basically. Your customers are happy. They're coming back to patronize you because they know that if I go to ABC Limited, their customer rep, she's a very nice lady. I don't know who's training her. So you understand, your customers are happy and coming back to patronize you. Then we have improved financial performance by increase in revenue. So this is it basically. Your bottom line is impacted very positively because now you have more engagement from your customers, more customer loyalty. You have a good brand as an organization. Everybody recognizes you because the people who are driving the business are doing their very best. And the last point here is reduced turnover. So when you have reduced turnover, I mean, it helps in managing and retaining your employees, which is very critical. So I'd like to end our very fantastic session so far with these few words. There is this saying that has been attributed to a couple of world leaders. I think one of them is Richard Branson. It says, treat your employees how you want them to treat your customers, basically. So if you want to achieve success with your customers, then you should first achieve success with the people that drive your business. And the people that drive your business are your employees. It's your employees who are going to drive the technology. The employees are going to drive the systems, they're going to drive the tools. So we need to make sure that we are properly managing them and managing their performance as well. So I think we have come to the end of our session. And now we will be taking questions and answers from our fantastic audience. You guys have been very fantastic so far, very engaging. So let's hear questions from you. Yeah.
Thank you, Vivian. That was a wonderful delivery. So we have earlier. I was just waiting for you to end before I read it out.
Okay.
So someone is saying, sorry, I think it's far back. Okay, this is from Oluseyi Moses. He said, please address the contributions of psychosocial issue and mental health in performance management. So this is from Oluseyi. So as she's taking it, if you have any question, just put it on the chat box so that we can read it out and answer them. Thank you.
Okay. Mental health is very essential. I mean, it's been one that has been stifled over time. I mean, we are just coming to recognize how really important and critical our mental health is. And as employees, or rather as an organization, we need to manage our employees' mental health. And how do we do this? It's basically by managing or trying to engage them and managing their well-being. So managing employee well-being is checking constantly what are the trends that could be causing employee fatigue, for example. Do we need to check or Do we need to factor in flexible working hours? Do we need to factor in more employee engagement activities that will take them outside of work so that they can de-stress and recharge and come back to work, right? And then we can also give avenue, encourage them to do some regular checkups on themselves, do regular checkup on yourself physically, mentally as well is also very important. So these are ways we can manage employee mental health. It is first by recognizing that it is very critical to actually manage it as an organization, because if your employees are not optimal or are not at optimum level in their mental health, then they would not be able to perform. So that's what I can say. And I hope that answers your question, Oluwaseun, I believe.
Yeah. So Oluwaseun answers around hand raised. I think he wants to ask a question. Oluwaseun, you have the floor. And then we'll read the many questions we have in the chat box. Oluwaseun, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
I hear you.
Okay, let me just come up with the reason I asked that question.
Okay.
You know, in an organization where you have quite a number of youth, the
Great
Gen
number of
Z,
what? Sorry.
youth, and the Gen Z,
Young people.
what
Okay.
you mostly see is that we cannot remove the fact that, or let me not use it that way. Most times they might want to, maybe opposite sex might want to go into relationship. And I've seen oftentimes how this seems to affect, their work performances. Sometimes they might have to just sleep out to check on one another at some point, and then the worst case scenario is when if their relationship is severe, it will result to psychosocial. It might result to psychosocial issues either for the boy or for the girl, and this might impact the overall performance or the individual performance. How can we address that? How can you speak to that?
Okay, Oluwaseun, if I heard you correctly, please, because the line was a bit blurry, but I heard you talking about managing relationships with the younger generation in the workplace, right? And some
Sure.
activities to be able to actually reach out to them, correct? Okay, so hello, sorry, I didn't get that. All right, so if from what you said, right? First of all, I think the first thing, like I always say, is to recognize the fact that our generations differ, right? And approaches definitely differ from one generation to the other, right? So the baby boomers is definitely different from Gen X, from millennials, and now we have Gen Zs. We have the Gen A's coming up, and we all have different attributes. We all have different approaches to work, right? So I think I would usually recommend a meeting in the middle for both, right? So for the Gen Zs, mental health is very essential. It is very, very important. And I think for them, I understand because they grew up in a different time than we did, right? They grew up in a different, I'm saying we did. Okay, so they grew up in a different time than, other generations. And it is very essential that we manage them with their own realities. So if they want to be able to give feedback, I will encourage that we listen, right? And when I speak about feedback, it is data-driven feedback. So sometimes people can say what is in their head, but it is not realistic. It is not exactly driven by data. It could be by emotions or something like that. But we listen to them. They want to feel like they are heard. They want to feel like they are part of something. And I think that is one way that we can address this generational gap, especially with the Gen Z. This is basically by engaging them. And they require so much engagement. They require to be, that's why we encourage constant follow-ups, constant reviews, constant check-ins, because they require this is not about babying them or micromanaging them. This is checking in on them and listening to them, having conversations. Those are the kind of things that we encourage. I hope that answers your question, Oluwaseun. So Dayo, over to you. Do we have any?
All right, yeah. So we have like 2 minutes to round up. Well, let me just
Yeah.
quickly read this okay. Sorry. We have lots of questions on the chat box, which I don't think we can address. Yes, so
okay, go on.
are they Oloyede Solomon saying using Maslow hierarchy of needs. What if an individual needs at the moment is not in line with the organization needs? What can the organization do to bridge the gap? Grace OBK, how do you implore the management to implement the reports generated after performance appraisal? So these are the questions. Maybe you can just quickly answer this question so we round off.
Okay, so I'll run through quickly because I'm being told our time is running. So how do we, sorry, the first question, say that again. How, if an employee's goals is different from an organization's, I think this is where we talked about change management to ensure that this person understands transition into what the goals actually is and making sure that it's aligned. You cannot say that the goal for the organization is A, and you come in, you're hired, you're told this is what we do, we are a logistic company, and you come in here and you want to make us a fashion, that's not going to work, right? So you see that there's a gap. So we have to manage this particular employee to encourage a transition into what the actual goal is. So change management, communication, constant open communication, feedback, and then conversations and check-ins will help to align the employee to the goals of the organization. And the second question, sorry. Okay, how to get management to implement reports from reports that are gotten from the performance management systems, right? So like I said, organizations have unique challenges, right? The important thing to do is to get this data. We can get the data down. We can also go as far as making sure that we are communicating the impacts, the negative impacts, if these things are not properly implemented, or if they are not, our feedback and report is not taken into consideration. We are also outlining the positive impact, because basically management is there to make profits. Organizations are built to make profits, basically. You're making profits, you're satisfying your various stakeholders. I'm sure management wants to ensure that all the shareholders are satisfied, right? Management wants to ensure that whatever packages that they get, if the organization does well, they want to make sure that they get it. So definitely they will be listening if you're outlining the positive impacts of implementing whatever feedback we've gotten from this. If we need to re-strategize, if we need to train people more, if we need to hire the right talents, we are documenting this and we are documenting the effects. If we don't do this, this is what's going to happen. And we are giving it the right data. In 6 months, we are going to lose figures, data, facts. I'm sure this would drive management to take the right decision. And I hope I've been able to answer that question. If there are any other questions, I'm sure we'll take it and come back. Right, Dio will come back and give some responses, maybe in future communications.
Thank you, Vivian. You've done a great job. So we'll be rounding up now. So for if we've not taken your questions, you can just we've shared an email there with you, so you can just put your questions. You can just send us your questions, and you will get a response as soon as possible. So it's wonderful having you guys. We're excited to have you. You guys are great. We look forward to having you for our next webinar. So our next webinar, this is that here you have it on the screen.
Will we get the slide?
Oh yes, you can. You get the slide as well as the recordings for on the recordings. You get both. So these are our next webinar to be happening July 25th of July 2024. Employee retention, the world retention, the world of work today. So please, on the chat box you can check. We sent you links to our social media on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So kindly follow us with the links. And we also sent the link to the form, cost evaluation form. So your feedback is very important to us, and you need your feedback. We need you to give us a feedback on this on this episode of the webinar. So thank you so much for joining us. You guys it's great having you. We look forward to having you on the next episode of the webinar. Thank you all. You've been great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. So again, we've sent you a link to access the feedback form. We need your feedback. It's very, very important to us. Yeah, so it can aid our improvements. If there are areas you need us to improve on, yes, and if there's a topic you would like us to train next, so you can also make suggestions. Yeah, so follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, Follow us on LinkedIn. Onida, thank you. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Mojisola. Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, Adidoyin. Thank you, Olushei. Thank you, Florence. Thank you, Luafemi. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. So see you at the next webinar, everyone. See you at the next webinar, 25th of July. You'll get the information soon. Thank you.